check yourself. Uh, I've been talking for the last 2 weeks about making decisions. And as it's the end of January when we're recording this, for many of you, you may have started the year being like, this is the year I'm going to, or I need to decide, or this is the year that things change for me. And what we know happens is that without some sort of containment or structure, our nervous system just doesn't feel safe to really take action. Even if, and Sherry, my guest, is going to talk about it, you've read the book, you have the t-shirt, you've done the meditation, you have the clarity. Some of you have the clarity. Um, but Sherry actually walked through a really cool process with me. And so I thought it would be really fun to have her come on and share with you what it was like to do the Decision Lab process, and just share her story. So let me introduce Sherry Stoller. She's currently the head of events for Justerini and Brooks, which, if you don't know, is one of Britain's long-standing wine and spirits merchants with 275 year history. That's a long time to have a business. Um, she began her career in global financial services in London, New York, and she spent her nights and weekends working in wine retail shops. And then she loved that. And so she shifted into the wine industry full time. She moved to Napa Valley. And before Just Reading and Brooks, she ran events for a London based luxury wine retailer, Hedonism Wines. What a great name. And she had her own business called Sherry Rose Wine. She has a Bachelor of Science from Cornell, the Diploma of Wine Studies from the Wine and Spirit Education Trust, and an MBA from the London Business School. She's a badass career woman. I'm so happy that you're here. Welcome.
Oh, thanks, Marnie. It's nice to see you.
So I wanted to just kind of talk really candid as you feel about the problem you were having before you reached out and decided to come. And we've worked together in the past in your love life. Now you have your boyfriend, your partner. But in the beginning of January, when I sent out that Q1 reset, where were you before the program, and what were some of the problems and symptoms and things that you were experiencing in your life?
Yeah, so I would say I was at a point where I had felt like I'd already once made a career pivot that was based on passion. And even though what I do is great, was starting to feel that ache again, that there's something more. I've become increasingly interested in wellness as well as wine. And I've had dreams of doing something that combines those two things. So I'd had a moment of clarity on a meditation retreat in November and felt I was very clear on what I wanted to do next. And then came back from that retreat and immediately had all the doubts come in that it wasn't the right thing. Maybe the timing's not right. Maybe I'm not even sure I want it. I don't know how to make decisions. And so serendipitously, your Decision Lab popped up, and that's how we connected on this topic.
So tell me a little bit about, so before November, when you got the clarity, how long
Mhm.
had you been like grappling with the like, I want something more? What should I do? Is it possible? And what were some of the like, what would, if we could take a sneak peek in your head, what were some of the thoughts that were looping?
I'd been thinking about it for a long time. I would say at least 5 years.
Okay. And that's
Yes.
normal, guys. That's normal. So don't feel bad.
Yeah, different levels of it. I think I didn't feel I had the clarity as to what I wanted to move into, so I didn't know what to do. So I just kept thinking about it. One thing that you and I spoke about, which I'm sure other people can relate to, is the fact that I do a lot of research. I've done a lot of coaching and programs and reading and podcasts and all of that. And I felt I was maybe stuck in this place of I just need to learn one more thing or figure one more thing out, and then I'll be ready to make a step. Um, and I think, yeah, I just wasn't quite sure what to do, and also had fears that even if I did, what if I'm not happy with it and I end up back in the same place after I'd already done this once before in my life? So what if the problem is me?
Yeah, and that goes to the root of the problem. Like in all of this external stuff, it's like, can I trust myself? Am I
Mhm.
capable?
Exactly.
All of those sorts of things. So you mentioned like the things that you've done, the programs, the classes that because I did a survey recently and people were like, I've done a lot of classes and I've done a lot of programs and none of it works in a moment or it doesn't work all the way. So, do you want to talk about like what are the things that you did try and maybe what was missing or what didn't land for you?
Yeah, I would say I think I mean, I've tried a lot of things. I think when it comes to career specifically, I don't think
Yeah,
I'd ever really truly done any sort of work in that space. So I think it was more theoretical, like let me overcome the blocks in my head that kind of get me, that stay in my way. Um, and I think I realized that things theoretically make sense, but when it came time to actually taking action, I didn't actually know what I was working towards, and I didn't actually know what to do. And so I felt like I was in this sort of like endless loop of spinning my wheels and almost wanting to outsource decisions to other people. Like someone tell me what to do. Like I think I
right.
was kind of waiting around for either this answer to fall from the sky or somebody to point something out that I hadn't seen, and just to have this like epiphany or aha moment that just never was coming. So I think that was why I was just constantly consuming content and just looking and looking and looking.
And I think that's such an important thing because one of the things we talked about in the very first workshop was that courage can't come without containment. Right. And so the
Mhm.
intellectual knowledge of something doesn't give you that feeling of safety. Um, and how can you make decisions and how can you move forward without certainty? Because that doesn't exist. So that's you were looking for certainty, you were looking for courage, right?
Mhm.
And you had the idea of it and the ahas, but it wasn't really it didn't really give you the ability to take action. Was there like a rock bottom moment for you at all where you were like, "Oh my god, if I don't figure this out," like was there a moment at work where you were just like, "Ugh."
Not, I wouldn't say necessarily a specific moment, but there was definitely just this sort of, I don't know, this like constant nagging feeling in the pit of my gut that's just, I know this isn't it. Like I know this, you know, there's stuff I enjoy about it, and I think I would go through this cycle of like being frustrated and unhappy, and then I'd have a good day and then be like, "Oh, it's not
Right.
that bad." And then I would just kind of ignore that voice, and I think what happened is that over time that voice has just gotten louder and louder and louder to the point where you can't unhear it, and it's hard to just keep stuffing it down.
Yeah, and then it starts like waking up in the middle of the night, you're thinking about it in the shower,
Mhm.
you're trying to hang out with your partner and
Mhm.
you start thinking about it. Yeah, and it starts to kind of take over your life even though your life is good. And I
Yes.
think that's a really big thing because your job as I used to always say your life doesn't suck. Your job doesn't suck, right?
Mm-mm.
Like you have a good life. So,
Yes.
um why did you end up deciding so you came to the free workshop and then you
Mhm.
decided to actually take the decision lab intensive. So
Mhm.
why did you end up deciding to do the program? And also because a lot of people I talk to are like, is it going to work for me? They're skeptical, they have some concerns, but why did you end up doing the workshop, the 2 day?
Um, Couple of reasons. Number one, it just felt like it came exactly when I was asking for it, right? I came back from that retreat being like, wow, I really can't make decisions. And then boom, there was something that was like, literally, let's help you make decisions. And two, we had worked together before, and that was a different part of my life. But I feel, and I will always remember when I was deciding whether or not to do that work with you, and I was saying, I feel like I've done everything and nothing's worked. And I remember still you saying to me that, this will work if you choose to believe that it will work. Like it's really, it's your choice. And I think there was some level of I don't know, empowerment or autonomy in that I was like, wait, I actually choose if this is going to make a difference for me or not. And I think I had entered all these other types of things without feeling that sense of empowerment. Um, and so there was more ownership in it. And so yeah, I think um, when this popped up, it was just like, okay, I'm starting this year fresh. I'm starting this year new, and I'm going to follow the breadcrumbs, and the breadcrumbs are leading me here. So I'm going to do it.
I I think that's so important because I've said for it's almost 17 years that I've been in business, which is
Mhm.
crazy, that it doesn't not work if you do the work that I've laid out that was divinely, thank you universe, to me, and I dish it out, whether it was in the love realm or this pivot your life realm. It works. You got to show up and you got to do the work. And
Mm.
I do love that you're like, and this is a choice you need to make. Are you going to step out of your victim? It's almost like a victim mentality
Mhm.
that we get attached to, right? Of like, oh, nothing works for me. Okay, so let's talk about some of the results. Like what happened to you, like even just going through the workshop, and then we'll talk about like now that you're starting to implement, where are you? So
Mhm.
like originally when we did that 2 day and we had our session together, what results, what was different?
Yeah. I think it was so simple, but such a good reminder that we just forget. Like, I felt so much pressure to make a right decision and forgot that actually, if you just get quiet and you just stop all the voices in your head and calm your mind down, there's just a knowing. You don't have to make any decision. That decision is already there. You already know the truth. You just have to get quiet enough to listen to it. And I think that that took a lot of the pressure off, because I was putting so much pressure on myself to get it right and to make the right choice. Um, and yeah, I felt disempowered, and actually just reminding myself that no, it's there. The challenge is for me to just get under those layers and actually hear that intuition.
Oh, I love that. One thing that we also talked about was that you had made the decision very binary.
Mm,
Like you'd had that one idea and you
hmm.
were like, it has to be this or nothing.
Yes.
And that was a big aha that you were like, oh my God, could this be why I'm actually stuck? Do you want to talk about that and how it kind of unlocks some things for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I had this, like I said, moment of clarity back in November that I felt I knew what I was meant to do and how everything comes together. And increasingly, as I got back from that and started to doubt it, I was holding very tightly to the fact that I'd had this clarity or this hit, and somehow I had just handed my power to it. Like it had to be this. Even when things were starting to shift in a different direction, I was just holding really tight to it and being very controlled about it. And I mean, I remember within like seconds, you were just like, well, it doesn't need to be, why does it have to be that? Like, it doesn't have to be that specific thing. And I think when we talked about the fact that the clarity I had was not in what it looked like, the clarity was in the feelings around
Yes.
that, the way I felt when I had that idea. And I had assigned the meaning of that to the actual vision that I had seen, when actually it might look different, but the feelings and the energy behind it are really what I connected to. And that was the clarity. And I'm in a way blocking the ability for it to come in by holding too tightly to this very narrow vision, because there's so much more possible than I even know.
Yes. And I really want to elaborate on this because the human brain can really only imagine a 10% variation of what we now are experiencing. So you took literally, you're like, I like wellness. I like wine. It's going to look exactly like this. Right. And so when we get attached to the how, it blocks the zillions of possibilities that actually come from the creative mind, the soul, the wisdom,
Mhm.
and allowing that to come through. So one of the huge things that we do in the decision lab is we really look at what are your decisions, your binary choices that you've laid out for yourself, those are good. They're good nuggets, but like actually there's a process to walk toward the actual thing that can be creative and super fun.
Mhm.
So when you got that, like, oh my God, freedom, what happened as a result of that? Like, how did you feel? How did it change your approach, your self-talk?
It it made it more fun, and it took the stakes way down. Like, I was just putting so much pressure in kind of forcing myself into a direction because I felt that I had decided it was right and it had to be right. Um, and to realize that actually it could look many different ways. And this is an opportunity for me to get creative and have fun with it and experiment and try different things actually made it feel a little bit more like life's a game and like I'm just enjoying playing it rather than I have to get this right. It
Uh,
just took a lot of the pressure off.
I felt that when you said it. Um, what and I'm on, and we haven't even talked about this, but I'm super curious. So the pressure of the things that you don't like about your current work, has
Mhm.
that also just been released since you're not
Oh
like,
my
I
god.
need to decide, I need to decide. So how are you experiencing now and
Oh
work
my gosh,
now
I'm
and
enjoying work so much more now. I
yay, that
yeah,
happens.
it's really interesting. I mean, I've it's been waves, and there are certainly days where there are still, challenges, but I think I see it as it's part of my journey towards whatever comes next and embrace it, get out of it what I can, make it work for me, and yeah, find the good bits in it, and and find the lessons in it, and just really utilize it towards my ultimate vision. And also being appreciative of the parts that are good. Like my previous job, I didn't have much freedom or flexibility in my schedule and where I worked, and now I have far more of that. And that was something I had asked for, and I created and got in this new role. So yeah, it definitely reframed the way that I was thinking about it, which is a nice bonus.
And then that thing that you said, like, I was carrying it around with me all the time.
Mhm.
So what happened to that? Like the anxious thoughts, the circling, the like, am I capable? I'm bad at decision identity.
Yeah, I think I've given myself permission to not have to put a timeline on things and force things, and actually just really get honest with making time to get quiet, listening to my intuition. I can see your book in the background there. I'm following the
Yeah.
process in that
Right.
now, which, to just um, really pay attention to what makes me feel good and what doesn't. Um, and yeah, it feels more expansive to not have to feel like I have to do this at a certain time or a certain way by a certain date. Um, and somehow that makes it feel more enjoyable, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's fun, right? Because one of the
Yeah.
things about what, and this is in my book, about what makes a meaningful life is asking yourselves, what did I create in my life? And
Mhm.
so if you start to think about this pivot or the decision that you need to make is like, wait, I want to create something, right? And nobody creates a book, a piece of art, anything like instantly. There's like a process, right?
Mhm.
And so let's talk about the now. So you took the decision lab, you did the 2 days, we had our one-on-one. Um, where are you now? What's working? Where are you in the process? Any new ideas come up? Let's tell us what's going on in Sherry's world now in terms of creating your pivot.
Yeah. So I'm following the life design process in the book. So I'm currently, I today is the last day actually where I am paying attention to my engagement and my
Yep.
flow for this past week. And it's actually been a really great week to do that because I've had a lot of different opportunities and things come up that I don't normally do in a week. Like I was on a panel earlier this week. Obviously, we're doing this. I was at a couple of different events, hosting events, and it was really just a great week to pay attention to what are the things that light me up and what are the things that drain me. Um, and yeah, I'm excited to see, how that will then inform the next steps. I also think too, looking at all the different aspects of my life, and one thing that became clear to me, which I actually didn't realize until I did that process, is that I don't actually have very much fun. Like, I'm not very playful. I actually realized that's how I've been since I was 10 years old. I just had to be a little adult, and um, it made me kind of sad to realize that. And, now there's like a little side, goal of how do I introduce more fun in my life and enjoy things more and be more light and carefree. And when, freedom is something I'm looking for in my professional life, that's something I also want to integrate into my day to day. So, yeah, I feel like I'm just being open to things. I'm not forcing decisions on anything. So there are still things that, I'm trying to work out in my life, but um, I'm open to it looking differently. And I'm really just tuning into that energy. What is making my energy increase, and what is sucking my energy out? And how do I then make small changes daily to move more towards the things that light me up?
I'm so glad that you mentioned this because that's the other thing. Like, if the universe is working for you and you haven't been able to make a decision, I say, do you don't want to build your new dream, your new pivot, like on sand? Right. And so so now you're like, I don't even know what I like. Like, I want fun. What is fun? Right. And so when you get to that point where you're creating your soul map and all those things, you're going to be like, wait, I want to introduce like this part into the creation of my business and my life. And when you go through the process, like, and you start to love your life more, period, whatever you build is actually coming from this full you rather than a you that's in the desert where you think this one thing will suddenly make you happy, because wherever you go, there you are. And so if we have a belief that making this decision and doing this one thing will suddenly make me happy, that's probably not true. So slowing it down, releasing the pressure, having a system to walk through, like you're starting to walk through now, can actually take you further, faster. But it's just by slowing the process down. Because, when I was just doing dating, I was talking about the slower you go, the faster you get there. And I think what I hear you saying now is you're like, oh, what I wanted was freedom, joy, and happiness and some spaciousness. And I'm starting to get that now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. Okay. So what would you, I always ask this question when I talk to people who've done my work. If you knew then when you were like, should I spend the money? Should I do this? If you knew then what you knew now, what would you say to someone who's on the fence or thinking about this workshop or doing this work with me? What would you say?
I mean, I guess for me, I was sitting there hemming and hawing over it, and I was going, this is actually kind of ironic. Like, I need help making decisions, and I'm struggling to make the decision if I should invest in the thing to help me make decisions. So, yeah, I mean, and again, like we said earlier, I think everything is what you put into it, right? So if you go in and you go passive and you don't engage and you don't actually absorb and put into practice, then nothing's really going to help you, right? But if you go in and you believe that this is actually going to make a difference, and you're going to answer the questions, you're going to do the work, it was short, it was 2 days, right? But you had a lot of questions. We did a lot of, active work during the 2-day sessions. And, there was homework at night, and you could easily just not do it, and it probably wouldn't do anything for you. But you get out what you put in. And so I think you've just got to, it's good practice to lean into the decision making. And
I love this because it was so funny. I was thinking the other day, I'm like, I'm asking all these people to make a decision, but they have a hard time making decisions.
yeah.
So how can we help them make a decision? And that's why I was like, oh, let's get Sherry on. I'm going to talk to someone else later today. Yeah. Look, this is, I was actually on Substack, and I didn't know that I can't remember, it was some famous person who said this. And I was going to write it down, but I didn't, but it was something like, if you can make something that's like low stakes decision that is pretty reversible, meaning whatever it is, 349 or 379, right? Like, for all of you who are, this is right for, this just, yes, it's money, but like, this doesn't reversible change your life. So if you can make a decision that is pretty reversible, right? Like, you don't harm yourself, then you should just do it easily and effortlessly because it's a step forward, and a step forward is better than doing nothing.
Mhm.
And I thought, God, I wish I could remember who it is that said it. Steve Jobs. I can't remember. One of those guys. Um, and I think that's so true, right? Like, we have so many big things. Should we buy this house? It's millions of dollars. Should we move? Whatever. This is a pretty reversible small decision. So let yourself off the hook. Give yourself the opportunity to choose that it will work for you. Because I think this, if I do say so myself, this process is pretty cool. Most people haven't done it, even if they've done a lot of personal development work. And what can unfold is not only your ending point, but actually starting to like enjoy the journey of making that change. Any
Mhm.
other last comments before we end?
Um, yeah, I think, like you said, I think anytime you're struggling with anything, like leaning in, and I think you've said this before, right? Like, what's the thing you're struggling with? Do the opposite, right? So, like, I think for me, it's always hesitating and not actually moving forward with something. And like you said, I think sometimes you just make a decision and that becomes the right decision for you too. Like, take the stakes down, way down. Like, most of the things we're deciding are not life and death. And no matter what you choose, it's going to get you closer to what you're meant to do. And if it's not the way you want to go, then you pivot and you go the next way. And yeah, I think just making it more fun is just like the thing I've taken away, and just taking the pressure off has just makes it more of an enjoyable life experience. And like I said, almost like a game. Like, it just makes it fun.
And that's why it's called the Radical Living Challenge. Because like that, and that's how I ended up like getting the title. I was like, I want to do like Survivor, but I don't like rice and I don't want to have bugs. So I was like, I'm going to make this a challenge, right? Like, I'm going to make it a game. And so that is what we're going to be doing in the Decision Lab. We're going to take the pressure off. We're going to make it a game. We're going to make it an adventure. Sherry, thank you so much for being here. I know it's super
You're
late
welcome.
in the UK. And I have so loved working with you, and I'm so excited to hear what happens from your when you create your soul map and you start implementing all the things we did in Decision Lab. The link to join Decision Lab, we start Tuesday, February 3rd, is somewhere around here. Absolutely sign up. I promise you, the freedom and the joy and the excitement that will come, which is such a stark contrast from the anxiety, the ruminating, the perseverating, and the overwhelm, is night and day. And if you think by February 5th, I could be excited about the rest of my year, uh, say yes to yourself so other people can say yes to you. Thank you, Sherry.
Thanks,
For all of
guys.
you listening, remember, always and in all ways, life check yourself because it's time to screw the shit life. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.